The Nevada Secretary of State's office is apologizing to voters over confusion about reports on discrepancies in voting following the presidential preference primary. On Sunday, voters who did not cast a ballot for the primary noticed they were marked as mail ballot counted on the Secretary of State's website. 2 days later, officials announced that all discrepancies had been fixed. Secretary of State Francisco Aguilar released a statement today saying the issue had nothing to do with the tabulation of votes or the results of any election, adding there is no evidence of voter fraud in Nevada. Officials say the issue was from a miscommunication in code based on state and counties interpreting the same data in different ways. Voters who were sent a mail-in ballot were marked as MB, which the system started to interpret MB as mail ballot counted.